You ever have a day where you're standing in your own living room surrounded by half-packed boxes and the smell of cheap wine, thinking you finally made it, like after years of eating microwave noodles and counting pennies, you've clawed your way into owning a piece of land no one can yank out from under you? That was me, smiling, breathing deep music, blasting friends packed into my two-bedroom ranch, feeling like I'd finally escaped every landlord who ever banged on my wall because I sneezed too loud. And right as I'm handing out beers, boom! My back door slams open so hard it nearly flies off the hinges, and this red-faced hurricane of a woman barrels in, finger jabbing the air like she's issuing an arrest warrant, and screams, "You need to get out. You don't belong here." Yeah, that's how I met Patricia Williams. The self-appointed queen of Maple Street woman with a blazer sharper than a switchblade, hair so aggressive you could see it coming before she even cleared the fence. And let me tell you, the party stopped like someone cut the wires. Silence except for Patricia's voice ricocheting around the walls, accusing me of running an unauthorized assembly because, get this, I'd failed to notify the HOA president of my own housewarming. Let me back up a sec, because I swear what came next was so much wilder than I ever could have guessed. I'm Marcus Thompson, 31. Just a software engineer who thought buying a house meant the hardest part was behind me. 6 years I saved 8 beans out the can, hustled for every dime. Finally I get my own place, modest, sure, but the kind of place you dream about when you're stuck in a shoebox apartment with upstairs neighbors doing midnight wrestling matches. Real hardwood floors, a fireplace that actually worked, backyard big enough for a future dog. It was supposed to be my little slice of the American dream till I found out established neighborhood really means one woman running the whole show like it's North Korea. See, on paper, Maple Street looked perfect. Kids on bikes, neighbors waving lawns so manicured you'd think there was a secret fertilizer mafia. But under that Norman Rockwell paint job, there was Patricia Williams, the HOA overlord, wielding a neon pink clipboard like a badge turning mailbox heights and grass color into weapons. I mean, there were actual rules about acceptable shades of green. Not even kidding. So the day of my housewarming, I figured, what's the harm? Couple friends, cheap snacks, cold beer, a playlist that was more embarrassing than impressive. My buddy Dave was already halfway through his story about the time I almost joined a CrossFit cult by accident, don't ask. Suddenly, the air in the room turns arctic. Everyone's eyes go to the door, and here comes Patricia Blazer, starched bob gleaming clipboard held like it's nuclear launch codes. Who authorized this assembly? She barked, and honest to God, my neighbor's wine glass rattled. She starts measuring noise with an actual decibel reader, pointing it at our faces, announcing we're 3 decibels above the community standard. I'm standing there, beer halfway to my lips, trying to process if I'm on a prank show or a Law and Order episode about loud guacamole. I say, "Look, this is my house. These are my friends. We're just hanging out." Patricia clicks her pen with the gravity of a judge passing sentence and slaps a red violation notice in my hand. "You're required to submit documentation 48 hours before any gathering exceeding 8 participants," she declares like I just summoned a goat sacrifice ritual. "Failure to comply will result in escalated enforcement." My friends scatter so fast you'd think she'd announced a rabid coyote in the yard. Within an hour, the party's dead, the food's untouched, and I'm standing alone in a silent house holding what looks like a scarlet letter for fun crimes. My mom gives me a look like she's about to launch Patricia into orbit, but lets it go. That night, I'm lying in bed, welcome to the neighborhood, right wondering if I just bought a house or signed up for an episode of Survivor Suburbia. By Monday, I get a thick envelope from Williams & Associates official, as can be full of words like injunctive relief and property covenant threatening legal action if I don't cease unauthorized activities. And whose name is at the bottom? Robert Williams, attorney at law, Patricia's husband. Or, as it turns out, her ex. Because plot twist, my lawyer friend Dave reads the letter and bursts out laughing. It's fake. The letterhead is wrong, the case number doesn't exist, And Robert Williams actually retired 2 years ago. They even spelled injunctive wrong, not exactly law and order. So I start digging. And man, the things I learned, Patricia has been running this HOA like a personal dictatorship for 3 years. Faking fines, writing up bogus violations, using her ex's law firm letterhead to scare people. Jake Rodriguez, my neighbor, a retired teacher who looks like he couldn't hurt a fly, pulls me aside and says, "Marcus, there's something you need to see." Next night, he invites me over and shows me this archive, color-coded folders, photos, official-looking documents, all of them documenting Patricia's campaign of terror. 23 families targeted. Some moved away. Others just keep their heads down, praying she moves on. Then out of nowhere, Jake's daughter Emma, 9 years old, smarter than most adults, pipes up. "Aunt Patricia was digging in your backyard this afternoon. Turns out while I was at work, Patricia rented a mini excavator, dug 3 holes in my yard looking for utility line violations. Her words, not mine, and managed to bust my main water pipe, flooding my backyard into a suburban swimming pool." You can't make this up. There's a neon pink clipboard floating in the water and Patricia's signature stakes marking survey points. Mrs. Anderson, the casserole lady from across the street, is there documenting the disaster for the neighborhood watch. Jake's got a camera. Emma's chalk art on the sidewalk is washed away. And when Patricia comes back mud on her heels and water stains on her blazer, she tries to blame it on city infrastructure failure. Stands there, soaked phone in hand, calling in a city hazard report. Jake just shakes his head. "Patricia, you trespassed. You destroyed Marcus's yard. Patricia insists she has full authority. But for the first time, I see something new. She's rattled, maybe even scared, because she knows she's gone too far." The next morning, I get a real letter from Robert Williams, the actual lawyer. He apologizes for Patricia, says he's got nothing to do with her HOA shenanigans, and admits she's been using his name to intimidate people all over town. He wants to meet. We sit in a Starbucks and he tells me Patricia wasn't always like this. After our divorce, she lost herself. Now she's clinging to control any way she can. Robert's tracked 47 separate incidents, noise complaints, fake legal threats, even forged eminent domain letters that could in theory force people out of their homes. And then he drops the big one. He wants my help. "Marcus, are you willing to stand up with me?" What Patricia's doing isn't just mean, it's criminal. So we pull together the neighborhood watch, gather evidence, and bring it all to a city council meeting. The community center is packed, people who've been silent for years finally ready to speak. Jake, Mrs. Anderson, even little Emma, who brings her own evidence drawings of Patricia's backyard adventures. Councilman Johnson listens. The city attorney reviews the forged documents, and Patricia walks in carrying a briefcase full of what she claims are official HOA violations. Councilman Johnson calmly reads the real city records. There hasn't been a legitimate HOA since Mrs. Thompson moved away in 2021. All of Patricia's authority completely fake. Robert Williams stands and testifies about the forgeries. Jake presents 3 years of evidence. The city attorney starts spotting faked signatures and expired seals. Patricia, faced with real authority for the first time, starts to unravel. Her voice loses that sharp edge, and she finally admits, "I was just trying to help." After the divorce, this was the only thing that made me feel important. It hits the room like a punch. The woman who'd made my life hell, who'd driven families away, was just lost, desperate to matter. The city council, maybe out of mercy, maybe out of wisdom, offers her a deal. Apologize, pay for damages, do real community service, and help build a legitimate HOA with elections, real transparency, actual rules. Patricia agrees. She apologizes to every family, including me, offers to pay for my repairs, admits she was wrong. Jake becomes the new interim president. Mrs. Anderson, the secretary, even Emma gets to be community youth rep. And here's the kicker. 2 weeks later, I get a letter from an estate attorney. Turns out there's a time capsule buried in my backyard since 1952, right where Patricia's archaeological survey made a mess. Sometimes the wildest people accidentally help you dig up treasure you never knew you had. So that's my story, how I went toe-to-toe with the clipboard queen, survived a fake legal war, and helped turn a divided street into an actual community. If you've got your own Patricia, a neighbor with too much time, too many rules, and a need to control, drop a comment, tell your story. Because trust me, there's strength in sharing. And sometimes all it takes to change the whole game is one person finally standing up and saying enough. What do you think, was Patricia a villain, a victim, or something in between? Would you forgive her or would you press charges? Let me know down below. And if you want more stories about neighborhood madness, sweet justice, and unexpected happy endings, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a chance to see karma do its work. Because honestly, sometimes real life is stranger and way more satisfying than anything on TV.